Well, first, if you don't mind introducing yourself and your company name.
Yeah, so my name is Ryan Stewart, and my company name is Beautiful Shots. It is now an LLC, but it started as a DBA.
Ryan and I have known each other for a couple of years now, I'd say. He's part of my Patreon Discord group, and we've been chatting for a long time. We've met in person. Ryan lives in Pennsylvania. I'm in New Jersey, so we're fairly close. And he's had an awesome journey so far. So how long have you been doing real estate photography now, and when did you start your company?
So it started for me in 2020 with, finding Mike's page as I was, looking to get into the industry. I actually started my company in 2021. The way this all kind of came about is my girlfriend had a YouTube channel, and for the purposes of video creation for her channel, we ended up getting a really good camera. And as I learned how to do manual focus and video recording and editing photos, I said, man, there's got to be a way to make some serious money with this camera. And I worked at the time for a company called Wawa, and there was a customer that came into the store that I was working at with a shirt that said Picture Perfect LLC. And I said, you have a photography business? Because, I'm just getting into photography and thinking about ways to make some money. And they said that their business specialized in real estate photography. And they gave me a card and they said, reach out to us, and we'll see about bringing you on as a shooter. So I did that, but I went home that night just to get an understanding of the industry and, what's involved in real estate photography. And that exact night, I watched Mike's first video. Was it your first video about the intro to HDR where you went around your house?
Oh yeah, it was one of the first. Yeah, maybe the third or something. Yeah.
I watched that video and I was like, this looks like something I could do.
Before we continue on with this video, I just want to share a quick word about our sponsor, PixelMob. Are you looking for a professional real estate photo editor to help lighten your workload? Are you having a hard time finding a good and reliable editor, or don't even know where to look for one? Or maybe you just personally struggle with editing and can't seem to achieve the professional end result that you've been looking for? If any of this sounds like you should definitely check out PixelMob. PixelMob helps take the guesswork out of finding a reputable editor and connects you with the right people to do the job. PixelMob is an awesome website that links you up with available editors capable of doing just about any sort of real estate photo editing you can imagine, including HDR blending, flambient, virtual staging, object removal, etc. The best part of all is that PixelMob vets all the editors prior to allowing them onto their platform to ensure that they can indeed deliver on what they say they can. I also really like that there's a peer review system where photographers can rate the editors from 1 to 5 stars, giving you further tools and helping you choose the best editor to work with for your particular job. The editor also does not get paid until you are satisfied with your order. If you've ever been in the search for an editor and tried a few out, then you know full well there's been such a sore need for something like PixelMob in our industry, and I really think a lot of us real estate photographers can benefit from this service. It's completely free to sign up, and if you use my link pixelmob.com/IREP, you will receive $5 in credit towards your first order, so there's no reason to at least not give it a try. You'll also find that link down in the description of this video.
So you mentioned working at Wawa. Are you still working there? And also you have someone that works with you with your photography business as well, right?
I had been working for Wawa, which is a convenience store here on the East Coast, for 13 years at this point. I was a manager with the company, and I was doing some general shift work, working in the afternoons, evenings. And I am still with Wawa. I'm doing about 30 hours a week there just to maintain benefits at the moment. But I stepped down from my leadership role there to open up my schedule more so I can focus full-time on my business. And yes, I do have somebody else working with me. Her name is Kate. She is my longtime girlfriend. And she joined me in January of this year as she recently had gotten laid off from her business or from her job. And it was always kind of a goal to bring her in and be part of the business. So it just made sense. Unfortunately, the business is actually at a place where it can sustain both of us at the moment. So that has been nice, to say the least.
That's awesome.
But yeah.
So you are putting in full-time hours for your business. Obviously, running a business is more than a full-time job, and obviously doing the Wawa thing to maintain benefits, which is smart because, you know, we all need benefits and they're very expensive. So it's hard to give those up, I'm sure. But I mean, you obviously, if you wanted to leave Wawa, you could, especially if you're sustaining 2 people on your business right now. So yeah, if you could talk about that, like what kind of numbers, if you don't mind sharing, is your business making at this point?
So far this year, my slowest month was about $6,000. My busiest month was actually last month, and we ended the month at 16.5. Wow. So it's a wild swing, but you know, that's the difference between January and June and northeastern, the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a weird year too with real estate. Like, I know, like in my area, people are saying they're like 40% down. Like it's been a tough year. Have you seen any evidence of that? And have you felt that at all as compared to me? I know your business has been growing, which is awesome, especially in this current climate. But like compared to last year, are things up for you, or how is it?
So the system that I use to manage my like CRM actually shows me like my growth and like the number of orders that I get every single month, and it is pretty off the charts in terms of this time last year how many orders I got, and now where I'm at. So I'm definitely seeing growth, but I can attest to I am seeing the slowdown. Yeah, I'm still growing, but at least even July is a little slower than it was for June last month. So I am starting to, I don't know if it's vacations or if it's the market as a whole,
right?
But I'm seeing some evidence of a slowdown.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed a difference this year. I mean, I think my numbers are actually up from last year, which is weird. I think I'm just like, selling better, bundles or like multiple services maybe, and just I don't know, like I've had larger tickets, but like that also happens. And I mean, there's not a lot of inventory and listings are low, but like the buying isn't a problem. So it's not like agents are having a hard time selling at the moment. But I don't know, for whatever reason, I've been really pushing towards that, like trying to get people to buy multiple things, because that's really the way to make the most money in this business, getting multiple services ordered.
Well, for the agent, I mean, that's something that I've been pushing them towards is, ordering multiple services, because it's not just about selling the house. Because let's be honest, when there's limited inventory, we saw it last year, houses are selling with cell phone photos. Yeah. But how do they differentiate themselves from the 5 other real estate agents that homeowner has talked to?
Yeah. And that's exactly
taking their marketing seriously.
Yeah. And that's exactly how I sell it to them. It's like you're building your personal brand here, and all that stuff, and people see how you market the homes. So it's a lot about them selling themselves to potential clients and marketing themselves. Absolutely, 100%.
I actually had a real estate, if I can add one more thing. I had a real estate agent who got a listing. Like the homeowner actually called them because of how they had listed a previous listing in that neighborhood.
Absolutely.
And getting that call from that agent, it was like, they saw the photos that you did for us at this address, and they want to sell their house, and they said, make sure you get that same photographer. So that there is something to be said that homeowners are seeing how agents market properties.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's happened to me as well. And I use stories like that to help sell these services to people. Like the same thing happened to me. I did a Matterport for somebody in a neighborhood. Yeah. And then sorry, my dog growling. So yeah, I did a Matterport for somebody in a neighborhood, and the house sold pretty quickly. And the agent told me like three houses down, they hired him because they saw the Matterport and how they marketed the house, and yeah, same exact thing. And you know, it's true. I mean, it does make a difference for them. And I tell that story, and that's not the only story. There's been a couple like that, and I use those stories to sell services all the time. Like, you know, because people like, well, I don't really need that. I'm like, well, maybe you don't need it to sell the house, but you know, exactly.
There are other benefits.
Yeah, exactly. It's not all about that. You're right.
Oh yeah, well.
Sorry, dog interruption. So pricing is obviously an essential aspect of any business. How do you determine your pricing, and how do you stay competitive while maintaining, you know, profitability and not cutting yourself too short or anything like that while staying competitive?
So I nailed down my pricing early on. You know, when I created my website and stuff like that, I wanted to put my pricing out there. And the way I kind of determined my pricing is really just doing the homework, doing the legwork of seeing who the main players are in the area, who my largest competitors are, what their pricing structure looks like, what are the types of things that they charge for, and you know, how I can compete accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, I have a competitor who will who will charge customers to change out the skies. You know, I do that as a result of just even my editing being outsourced. It gets done automatically. So instead of giving the lower price, which is what they do, and then charging for these, you know, what should be standard edit requests, you know, I just built that into my pricing, but not so much that I'm like way outside of the competition. I'm right there in the pack of the local competition. Now, the way I'm staying competitive while maintaining profitability is kind of like what we were just talking about, upsells.
Mm-hmm.
Upsell. Hey, do you want drone for this property? It's got some unique features, or there's nice land, or it's in a great, you know, local area. You know, I'm a big pusher of the the Zillow 3D tour. And I sell quite a bit of those. I sell about 6% of my shoots get those. And I make a healthy margin on those because they are free. I sell it with the push, the Zillow boost, that you know, that listing will get way more attention.
Yeah.
And you know, that more attention leads to potentially more offers, more money, and it's a win-win for everybody. And I have agents who will order that on every single shoot now.
That's awesome. What is your price point on that, if you don't mind sharing?
So I do 3 different types of virtual tours. So I do the Matterport.
Yeah.
And I charge the most for Matterport.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do the Zillow 3D, and I charge the least for the Zillow 3D. And then the Zillow 3D with the floor plan is in the middle of the two.
Mm-hmm.
So because the Zillow 3D with floor plan is the only one that's getting the boost now, I'll just talk about my pricing for that.
Yeah.
It's $150 for a house up to 2,000 square feet, $200 for a house up to 4,000 square feet, and $250 for a house up to 6,000 square feet. Awesome. And what would you say, Mike? 20, 30 minutes to do a house to Zillow 3D?
Yeah, totally. I know, it's great. It's a great upsell thing, and yeah, it's 100% profit. Yeah, there's no cost to it other than obviously the having the 3D camera or whatever. But yeah, it's great. It's a great little moneymaker. and yes, that does help. The fact that Zillow boosts those, and that's exactly what I tell people too. It's like, it's an easy way to upsell it, you know, that service. So it's definitely a nice one. Yeah. So how do you define success for your photography business, and have you achieved the goals that you set when you started out?
So success for any business, I kind of view it as just making a profit. You know, if you're not running a profitable business, then I don't think you're achieving the classic definition of business success. Now, my goals early on when I was working at Wawa was, you know, supplemental income. I used to do Uber driving, And back when the pandemic started, I nixed that because I didn't want, foreign people in my car and travelers. And, I kind of knew in January that COVID was going to be a big thing. So I stopped doing that. And, the timeline is later that year, I picked up the camera, learned it, like I said earlier in this interview. And so, yeah, I wanted to just have like supplemental income, like $100 a week.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started to see an order come through for $400, $500 with, add-ons and things like that, and I wasn't just doing one shoot a week, I was doing, 3, 4, 5 a week, I started to realize that this could be way more than just supplemental income and actually replace and exceed my wallet income. So my goals over time changed when I, hit the goals of doing, $100 a week to, now growing it to be a full-time business for myself. And I knew early on that I wanted to have it not just be myself, but I wanted to bring my girlfriend into the business and eventually grow it to be a full team. Which, by the way, Mike's video about, with Motion City Media, where he talks about like the pros and cons of being a solo photographer versus leading a team, definitely worth watching if you're kind of deciding on the same concept there. But yeah, I knew I wanted to grow this to be more than just myself.
That's awesome. So you've obviously then exceeded those goals when you first started out as just being like a side gig. So yeah, what are your goals from here? Is that what your goals are? Is just to keep expanding your team and your business to having a I don't know, 10, 15, 20 photographers working for you? Is that kind of what you're hoping to do at some time?
Yeah, I don't know, because I feel like at a certain point, specifically with this kind of industry, I don't feel like I feel like there's a cap how big you can really get before you start losing that appeal to your clients in terms of like, I've got a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it turns into 10 employees or 15 employees, it's no longer I've got a guy, it's I've got a complete random stranger who I've maybe never met before showing up.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of like cap how big we grow, at least locally, and then maybe I can franchise the brand or something like that. But yeah, locally I feel like there's a cap of maybe 5.
Yeah. No, I think that's reasonable, and I do definitely agree with what you're saying. It loses that appeal, that that personal appeal, and that's how I kind of market myself too. Like being a solo company, like I'm like, you pick up the phone and you call and you're talking to me, and I'm dealing with every aspect of it, and it is a little overwhelming for me, and it gets tough when it's so busy that I can't really handle it all myself. But I think at some point, like, as you brought your girlfriend into the business, like my wife and I have been talking about it recently, like at some point, maybe like her leaving her job and like working with me just to, maybe not, I would teach her how to shoot, but it would be more so just like running the back end of the business, just like, delivering photos, like finances and, all that stuff. And that just, it's hard for me to do while I'm out shooting, at least for now. And, so I don't know if, so if I grow, if I get to that point where it's just like, I, can't handle everything myself, that's kind of what my game plan is, I think. And she's interested in doing it. So, she's not really thrilled with her line of work. So, we'll see what happens, but also just like being solo, and I've always, I've said this before, just kind of like always wanted to stay that way. I think it's just like a game of like, at the busier I get, I just, maybe I just bump my prices up a little bit more and, weed out some of the, some of them and just, make more, but, control my client base that way. You know what I mean? The people that really appreciate what I do, you know, will keep me on as long as I don't get too unreasonable with the pricing. But like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. That's where
something, just what you said.
Yeah.
I'm a big like Dave Ramsey follower, and that's something that he talks about a lot is like when you're in business for yourself and you're maxed out, you raise your prices and you lose 25% of your customers. But guess what? That frees up time for you to take on additional customers who are okay with paying that higher rate. So that is definitely good advice of just, you know, when you reach that point, bump your prices a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's where my head's at. And we'll see how it goes. But yeah, you want to stay competitive, but like, obviously the more of a reputation you build and all that's worth something, and you know, and experience is worth something, and you know, all that stuff. And obviously customer service is paramount, and you know, having that personal, you know, correspondence with your clients and giving them a personal experience where it's like, you know, they know that you're the one showing up to shoot it, and you're the one, you know, they're going to talk to if they have a problem, and all that stuff, I think, you know, goes a long way, as we were talking about. But yeah, so what is one thing that you think has contributed to the success of your company the most so far, if you could think of something?
Me.
Yeah.
I hate to sound cocky, but I feel like a lot of my clients, they truly love me. I try to be as personable as possible with, you know, the real estate agent, especially if I've never met them before. You know, that whole like first impressions count, but it's not just the agent that's the client, it's the homeowner.
Yeah.
And I have, you know, I'm very active in the Facebook groups, and I see some of the mindset that some of these photographers have where, you know, everybody needs to be out of the house, you know, get the dogs out, get the cats out. I'm putting in my earbuds. Don't talk to me. I'm in the zone. Move things. No, you move things and I'm moving out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, having the right mindset, I think, is huge when you go into these encounters with homeowners and new agents that you haven't worked with before, because it will make a difference. And I have not had really any issues with losing customers. I've only been picking up clients. And I attribute a lot of that to mindset. But also early on, I did a lot of setting up processes just to ease like points of pain. So one of the things, when I actually had the opportunity to meet Mike, I shadowed him out in New Jersey for a day, and I witnessed his phone blowing up. Hey Mike, when do you think I can get the photos? When do you think I can get the photos? You know, and I set processes in place that when they come back from my outsourced editor, they can be delivered to the customer that morning, which removes me from having to, you know, get home, get to a computer where I can do QA and deliver them. I have all of that stuff being handled.
Yeah.
So that frees me to just focus on shooting and not be managing clients, as well as, you know, actively involved in the day-to-day.
Yeah, it's very true. And the whole mindset thing is huge. And, you know, we talked about that a lot on my channel with like, and the last interview I did, and with multiple people I've talked to on this. But yeah, I just, you know, I can't stress that enough. It's just like, yeah, being accommodating as much as possible, being kind, being, you know, all those things, professional, and, you know, just that customer service experience. And yes, that rapport you have with your clients. And yeah, and the homeowners, when you go to the homes, like, I did a shoot yesterday, and I was, you know, after I was done, I was standing there just chit-chatting for like 20 minutes with the homeowner, and we're talking about, you know, the woods behind their house, and like there's a park there, where I was like, sharing, experiences that I've had growing up, going to that park, just like all that stuff. It's just, it's important. And, it just gives that connection, makes that connection with, especially your clients see how you are with that, a homeowner, their clients, and making them, feel, comfortable and all that. And, it's huge, it just goes so far. So
I did a shoot for one of my regular customers, and this is not the most recent previous shoot that I did, but a homeowner from a couple shoots ago was asking the agent about how I'm doing even.
Yeah.
Because I already the time I had with them, I built that or where that customer or that homeowner liked me enough to continue to ask, like, oh, how is he?
Yeah. It's great. Yeah. So have you tried any marketing for your business, or has it just been sort of referrals and word of mouth? Like, how have you built your client base to where it is today?
You name it, I've done it.
Oh.
Okay. So early on when I was getting started, I kind of did it all. But when I was just getting started, I was browsing Zillow every day, and I was looking for listings that had, cell phone photos or really poor quality, like verticals are off in terms of like, you could tell they're professional, but they're not professional. And I was calling those real estate agents or realtors, and I was offering them a discount. And I had some moderate success with that, and I've maintained those relationships even from those first couple shoots that I did through that way. And that really got my foot in the door. And the way I look at my acquisition is every customer you get is a spoke on a wheel, and each one of those spokes can have offshoots. So now my business is growing a lot through referrals, which was kind of a goal because you can't beat just organic growth.
Yeah.
Doesn't take you putting anything into it. You just, somebody calls you because you're the guy to call, which is great. But my first couple clients came through complete cold outreach. Maybe it's not old in the sense of they definitely had need of my services, whether they knew it or not, but they had need, but they had an actual listing. So that maybe isn't completely cold. I did Google ads early on, kind of expensive, kind of broke even on it. But again, it's about getting that spoke to then have the offshoots. I did Facebook ads, same thing, kind of expensive, kind of broke even.
So you did get some clients off of that though.
I did, yes.
That's great.
You have to set a healthy budget, and specifically with the Facebook ads, you have to pay attention to the fair housing things. You can't say certain words, otherwise your ad will be shown to the general public, and you can't target real estate agents. So you kind of have to do this finesse to actually get it to target real estate agents. But targeting your ads is incredibly important. So keeping things local and targeting people who are, have job description like real estate agent or realtor in their job description, will help get best results. But yeah, I've done ads, cold calling. I've done some in brokerage stuff. It's gotten me some work. I'm looking to do that again this fall. I've gotten, some opportunities. I do headshot events for Lennar, which is one of my clients, where they advertise discounted headshots to local real estate agents to get the real estate agents into the model homes. And, that allows me to interface with local real estate agents in local communities. So that's definitely gotten me some work. I do a fair bit of social media outreach where I find agents on Instagram and I send them a message. I try to keep it personable, but send them a message and just introduce myself, my services, my offer.
Awesome. what would you say are the biggest challenges that you run into running a real estate photography business, and how do you, overcome those?
All right. So as with any business, you can decide to be a jack of all trades and a master of none, or, really define the things that you want to succeed at and find people to do everything else. And that was something that I've adapted early on, is that mindset of, I'm not a bookkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
So I have somebody who manages my books for me. It's an added cost, but, it's a cost of doing business. Being new to photography, and specifically the HDR editing and stuff like that, I'm not an editor. I don't have the time to do it. So I outsource my editing because the things that I'm good at are maintaining my relationships with my clients, getting into the home and taking, knockout compositions, and just let the experts do everything else, right? I'm the expert with the camera in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Back end doesn't need to be me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big proponent of finding people to surround yourself with that can complement your weaknesses. And that, for me, was something I set up early on. And that has allowed me to, with relative ease, overcome the challenges of running a business, because, I know what I can do, I know what I can't do, and I just go to the appropriate parties.
Yeah. No, that's just smart business, realizing your strengths and what you need help with. And, and you're right, trying to do it all, like I've said, is overwhelming at times, for sure. I mean, to say the least. So it's awesome to see where you're at now, and, having, met you a couple years ago when you were more so at the other end of things, and how far you've come in such a short amount of time. I think that's why, your story, is especially inspiring to a lot of people that are watching, out there, who are wondering if they can make a business out of this or whatever, which, kind of leads me into the next, which leads me into the next question, really, which is, do you have any general advice out there for any photographers that are starting out now and, trying to get their business off the ground?
If they've made it to this, they probably have already gotten through, a lot of the things that I could say here. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses, right? Have your processes in place to really play your strengths as well as minimize your weaknesses. That would be number one, right? Do the legwork. You really have to know your local areas, so know your competition. And it doesn't have to be the cutthroat. I actually talk personally with some of my local competition. There's enough business for everybody. There really is.
Yeah, totally.
And I mean, Mike with Motion City Media, right?
Yeah.
Is that the right name?
That's correct. Yeah.
He's friendly with his local competition too. So, do your legwork when you set your pricing, know your competition, know their pricing. Don't undercut them. That does not benefit anybody. And you really don't want to be the guy that's doing the unlimited photos for $70. That you're going to A, burn yourself out. You're B, not going to make any money. So play fair with everybody else. And yeah, I mean, you just you stick with it, do the legwork, maintain those relationships, understand that you're in the business of creating value for these homeowners, for these agents. And when you create value, as Dave Ramsey would say, people will hand you certificates of appreciation with president's faces on it. And
absolutely,
that can't be truer.
Yeah.
When you're taking care of your client or their homeowner, the house, you're doing a knockout job. It will serve you well, to say the least. And nothing happens overnight. This isn't like any kind of like get rich quick scheme. I know, I know there are like courses out there where they're like, yeah, let me show you how I make $100 in 30 minutes. And it's like just flying the drone and stuff like that. Like it's not going to happen overnight. It does take time. It's taken me 3 years to get to the point where I'm at now. But it's been one hell of a journey. And it has exceeded my expectations of being $100 a week to doing $16,000 last month. Yeah. It's been one heck of a journey. So you just stick with it.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. And congratulations on that. I think that's why a lot of people don't succeed in it. It's like they give up too soon and, they get discouraged too soon, and it is discouraging. I mean, 95% of the people are going to say no. I mean, something like that, you're going to get a lot of no's, and it's just who's willing to keep pushing through and not get discouraged and, just like you said, do the legwork. It seems insurmountable in the beginning, but it's just, I think a matter of making those first few contacts and just getting that ball rolling. And then you start feeling a little bit more encouraged.
If you are trying to do this and, you're struggling to have the time to do it, you need to find some way of making that work for you. Like maybe you say, hey, I do Saturday and Sunday appointments only. That might not work for you, but, you have to have the time to do it. And then one other piece of advice too is make it a goal to offer all the services. Because actually when I was doing the calls, for example, I think it was kind of one way for an agent to filter out the riff from the chaff, so to speak, was she asked me, do you do video? And the video was last on my list of services to offer. But I think that was her way of knowing who's established and who isn't, is, can they offer video services? So, make it a goal to offer drone, get your Part 107, make it a goal to offer 3D tours and video. It's not just for the large orders, but also to show yourself as being a full service professional and not just somebody with a camera.
Yeah. And at the very least, it's understandable that maybe you can't do all that right off the bat, but
it took me a year to get there.
Yeah. So you could always try to make some contacts with some other people that know video or drone just for in the meantime, for some shoots to somebody else to shoot it for you, whatever. I mean, whatever you need to do, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a very good point. Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Man, I really appreciate your time today and sharing your story. And I think, like I said, I think it's an inspiring story for a lot of people out there. And congrats again on how far you've come in such, in the last 3 years. It's pretty remarkable, I think, and it's great. So yeah, keep it going, and we'll talk again soon. I'm sure we see you in the Discord group and whatever. And
Discord. I hang out in the Discord group all the time. So if anyone wants to join the Discord and come talk.
Yeah, we got a great bunch of people in there. I think it's cool. So yeah, awesome, man. Thank you.
Thank you.